record. So we have the Yom Yom. These are sayings by the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe. We'll do today and we'll do tomorrow. Today, the first Rebbe of Chabad, before he was put into prison, he would deliver very short discourses. He would say just a few words, and it would arouse a storm within the listener's heart. You hear a couple of words, especially coming from the Rebbe. Wow, what is this? And it greatly inflamed the emotions of those. They were called durachim. Durachim. Something like what the Baal Shem Tov would say. Like what the Baal Shem Tov would say. Later, they were a little extended, and they were called igrot, like letters. Missives is a letter. I don't know who uses that word missives, but anyway. Igrot means letters. And then the next stage, they were called Torot. That's after he got out of prison. It was called Torot. And this is the basis of all of the Maimorim that we learn in the morning, Torah or in the Lichutei Torah. Later came even longer ones, and they were called Ktavim. They were called writing, essays. And these were expositions with comparative, broad intellectual elaborations. They were called. So as the first Rebbe of Chabad, he spoke. I remember once he spoke increasingly with more explanation and explanation. I remember once this was on it was on Lag BaOmer, and there was a Rabbi Vechter, and this Rabbi Vechter, he had been like a Rosh Kollel in Satmar. At one time, Satmar was a big war with Chabad. It doesn't exist anymore, at all, not at all whatsoever. But Satmar had a big war with Chabad anyway, and he was a Rosh Kollel, and he got he had a very inquisitive mind and a very, very sharp mind, and he contacted Rabbi Yoel Kahn, who was a big genius in general and especially in Chassidut. And he learned, and he decided that that's it. He's going to start learning Chassidut, and he taught Chassidut to his pupils. And eventually, he had to run away from Satmar. He became Chabad, and so he made what's called a Farbringen, a Hasidic get together. And a lot of people from Satmar, they came to listen to him, and some of them asked him questions, and a lot of them were like really, how do you say? Like belligerent sort of questions, but he was used to it. And also these people, the questions they had, they were belligerent, but that's their way. They can accept it, and they know that deep down there's love. But on the outside, that doesn't seem there's any. So they said, wow, what was that? So they said, what you're saying, he learned the whole big part of Lichutei Torah. So they said, what you're teaching in the Lichutei Torah in 4 pages, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev says in Lichutei Levi Yitzchak. It's another book of Chassidut, not Chabad. He says that in 5 words, in 2 sentences. What the first Rebbe of Chabad says in several paragraphs, as Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Berditchev says it in 2 sentences. So he said that's exactly the point of Chabad. Said what he says in 2 sentences is you have to figure out what it means. And here the Rebbe explains it to you in a way that you can take it into your mind and you can think about what it means. Right? He explains in long length and depth and detail things which the other rabbis just leave up to your understanding. Right? And maybe you don't get it right. Maybe you do get it right. But in other words, the Rebbe puts it into your mind. Not just into your heart. Okay, now that's today's. Now let's do tomorrow's. 1 second. 1 minute. So here we go. The early sages were like angels. We're talking about the rabbis of the Talmud. They were like angels. They already decided the healing of the soul is like the healing of the body. The healing of the soul is like the healing of the body. First of all, you have to identify the illness itself. You have to have the proper, diagnosis, whether it's caused and the cause of it, whether it's caused by what your soul. A sick soul means a person is egotistical, right? Whether it's caused by crassness or grossness and corruption of the body. You just like to go after your desires or your lusts or whatever. Or maybe your soul is weak. Maybe you just don't have the power or the resolution to take a stand against your own desires and lusts and fears and depression. A person is inclined to undesirable traits like arrogance, lying, etc. Or maybe the source is habit. Maybe you're essentially a good person, but you got into bad habits. Maybe you were educated properly. Maybe you have a bad environment, bad friends. That brings about bad habits, and then it's completely different. You don't have, it's not such a deep self-initiated problem. It's initiated by your surrounding. Without ascertaining the specific site of the illness and the cause of the disease, it's impossible to embark on a cure of your soul, right? To stop being egotistical, to stop having a bad temper, to stop being cruel, to stop being stingy, to stop being, you have to know where it's coming from. All you can only have proper conduct and everything, what to do and what to avoid. So if you don't know how to fix yourself up, so at least fix up your actions, your speech, your thoughts. The cause you can't figure out. At least know that there's bad things you shouldn't do, so don't do them. And there's good things you should do, so do them. You have to do good in terms of doing the commandments, having time for Torah studying, and acquiring as much as you can good character traits, and also turning away from evil. You can't fix your soul up, so at least every time you want to get mad, don't get mad. Every time you want to be stingy, give charity. Most urgent of all, though, is that you have to be aware of two things. Number one, a person has to know that he's sick, and you have to desire to be cured. In other words, you're not condemned to egotism your whole life and to bad character traits. You have to know that your bad character traits are not really you. It's just a sickness that's part of you. And number two, you have to know that you can be cured. With hope and absolute trust that with God's help, you will indeed be cured of the sickness. And that's essentially what Mashiach is going to do. Mashiach will just make people healthy, spiritually, physically, emotionally. Okay, that is the two Yom Yom, today and Shabbos. Now let's have a story. 1 minute. 1 minute. 1 minute. There we go.